A bottle of Arak requires 5 kilograms of grapes, 180 grams of aniseed, 13 hours of labor, and 11 months of aging.
And an afternoon
Cheers.
to drink. Welcome to a very special edition of Afikra's Matbakh. With me is Ramzi Ghosn from Massaya. You're the winemaker, the Arak-Maker, and the co-owner of Massaya. First of all, where are we? Tell us where we are. This is an amazing location.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have you here.
It's
and
amazing
show
to
you
be here.
The premises.
Yeah.
Listen, this is what we call the rest house.
Okay.
This is where I stay this is where I spend most of my life. Between the vineyards, the distillery, the winery, this is it.
Yeah.
And this is where I relax and I stay, and I have usually my friends, I invite them. It's not the restaurant of Massaya. We have other locations for restaurants that are open for the public. This is really a private corner.
We feel very lucky.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah. أول شي كيسك.
Cheers.
Thanks so much. So what are we drinking? Tell us.
What do you feel? This is Arak. The difference is it's without water. It's just Arak on ice.
Oh, interesting.
So this is a pot Karake, and this is very important because it's all about this piece of equipment that was improved by the Arabs in the 9th century. So it's really a device that the Arabic Peninsula influenced and in a way gave it to Europe, because before this they didn't know how to do Arak or whatever spirit they wanted to produce. So it has been distilled by Wala, of course not in this one, in a large one, and now we're doing just a small demonstration. We're going to fill it with the Odyssey, and of course Massaya has its own recipe for Arak making. So this is the quantity we need for anise. Fresh anise.
Fresh anise seeds.
Anise seeds from Hine, which is in Syria. So we add the anise seed. We need for each bottle of Arak 180 grams of anise seeds. This is the secret of Massaya. This pot. This is the traditional old-fashioned Arak making technique. And this is what differentiates us from everyone else. Yeah, so we're going to heat it. The steam goes to the top. Given the inclination and the difference in temperature, the steam will condense and we will have the output here. Okay, so he's going to start the whole process. You want to go and we sit and we come back afterwards?
Perfect, yeah.
So voila, we'll take care of this and we come back. It's an experience that is very important because it gives you the real flavor, aromas, and the dimension of it.
Yeah.
And this is not hard. It's not aggressive. It doesn't burn your mouth. It just fills it. It has a body, a texture, and a weight.
Yeah.
It's up to you to tell me whether it's true or I'm just saying it.
So I'm always curious about, anyone who travels throughout the Mediterranean, they go to other places outside of sort of the Arabic-speaking world, and they come across things similar to this, right? Ouzo. What are the differences between Arak and Ouzo and all these different things? When did
Mikey,
this
is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do.
Okay, so what are...
There are two main differences.
Okay.
By law, not by law, really, if you want to compare real Arak with Ouzo or Pastis or Sambuca or whatever.
Or the Turkish...
Iraqi.
Iraqi, yeah.
Or Tsipuro, or any, that is even in Spain. So it's all around the Mediterranean reality.
Yeah.
First of all, that is the quality of alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol quality is key in Arak. It is made out of eau de vie.
What is that?
It means a distilled wine like cognac, like Armagnac. So this is one of the ingredients. The second ingredient is, as I showed you with the cell, only green aniseeds from a specific area where they have a good quality aniseeds. So the ingredients are one of the secrets of Arak.
Yeah.
That is the second ingredient. Actually, secret. It is what's the one I showed you.
Okay.
Because when you talk about spirits, most of the spirits are produced in an industrial way. That is a distillation column. It means an industrial way of distilling continuously the spirits. While the one you saw, it's a small batch, and between each batch you have to clean it and you have to do the process again, to repeat the process.
Yeah.
This is a pot still. So this one requires more time. This requires more knowledge and know-how and techniques, but it's a completely different end product. As simple as that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that Ruko, Ouzo, Raki, Pernod, Sambuca is a little bit different, are produced in a distillation column, while the real Arak, the authentic Arak, is produced in pots.
Yeah. And those pots they're copper pots? What are they?
Copper pots, we buy them from Tripoli. We have a coppersmith who made all our stills. This is the small one. This is really our little lab, what you saw. But the big ones, and he comes every 2-3 months during the campaign to repair, check, improve, fine-tune the whole process.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, it's another artisanal activity. For me, this is the name of the game. This guy, if we don't give him work, if he doesn't work anymore, one day he'll stop. And what we're stopping is a knowledge, a technique that we learned over the centuries through history.
Yeah.
And we're going to lose a major part of our heritage.
Yeah.
Like we did with the pottery. Because after we make arak, there is also the aging process in a clay jar. And these clay jars come exclusively from Beit Chabab. Otherwise, you don't have the right porosity. It means
the width.
The width of the porosity, it means the oxidation, if you want to call it in a romantic way, so micro-oxygenation, the more modern way. It's because the small interaction with oxygen and the spirit is ideal if you take the clay from Beit Chabab. Unfortunately, in 1994, when Massaya started, we revived the pottery industry in Beit Chabab by putting a big order, asking Marhum Fawzi.
For those who don't know, Beit Chabab is a location
in Mount Lebanon.
Yeah, it's not like a house of men.
No.
Okay, so it's a location that's known for this. It's a city. Yeah,
exactly. Known for the quality of its clay for Arak-Making.
Yeah. Okay.
So, when we started and we wanted to produce Arak in the very traditional, old-fashioned way, if you want, rustic way, we are a little bit conservative in this approach, we couldn't find any pottery that was good for Arak. So we had to call the guy and tell him, you are in Africa, come back, take over the workshop of your father, and we're going to place a big order and we're going to have this activity back in this country.
Let's do some more recent history. Inta, Ramzi, what is your story? When did you get into this stuff? I mean, were you born into a family of winemakers and Arak makers?
This used to be our countryside house. Okay. I have memories here with my parents, the friends of my parents having big meals, enjoying it. I'm originally from Shia, that is
Yeah.
Beirut, suburbs.
Beirut suburbs.
I have nothing to do with here besides that my father bought this property in the 70s. And when we had to leave in the 70s, the premises of Taanayel, I mean, we couldn't come back because we lived in Beirut.
Yeah.
We used to come here in spring, like now, or in fall, whatever, on weekends.
Yeah.
So we left this property and we went in a different path, as you know, like everyone else.
Yeah.
And in 1992, when things started to improve, gradually, we refused to sell the property. And we couldn't sell it, and we wanted to do something here. While my degree is marketing, I have an MBA in marketing, and I have a master in finance from France. So nothing to do with all this.
There wasn't any Arak courses in your master's in finance? Okay. That's true.
I had in finance.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because I was in Paris, in Paris 2 Assas.
Yeah.
And this is how I discovered Beaujolais Nouveau. During the course, we had Beaujolais Nouveau, of course. So basically, our past, and that is also on board, not on board, the founder is Sami, my brother. So we are two brothers.
Yeah.
Sami is right now in the US. So when he came back and started to revive a little bit the property, we said, okay, what are the possibilities of keeping this property? Because it's costing us lots of money. And if it's not self-sufficient, if there isn't enough revenue from it, we might not be able to keep it anymore.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, let's see what we can do. We can do dry raisins, we can do some dairy products, we can do kishik, and we can do arak, because someone told us that he can teach us how to make arak from the real recipe of arak. And we started all these small productions. And my parents used to have a pharmacy, and we took a corner of the pharmacy and we put all the producers in the corner of the pharmacy.
There's like
Panadol. Exactly. By law, a pharmacy is authorized to sell anything. It was organic.
I guess it's a drug. It's a drug in the end of the day.
Initially, spirits were sold in the pharmacies.
Really?
Remember, apothecary, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're right.
It was part of the, okay. Yeah, what do you have? Stomach pain? This is a bottle of whiskey. Imagine it. So that was a little bit the ambiance. So we had a corner at the pharmacy, and the idea is I work in finance or in my project. Sami would work as an architect, because then it's an architect. And the revenue generated will pay for the fence, for the well, But gradually we were driven into this. We couldn't say, no, it's not a passion. It was a passion. Yeah. Gradually, we got into this.
You mentioned like raisins and other things. I mean, what else is grown on your properties?
Now?
Yeah, right now.
So everything is from the garden.
Okay.
So we have the most important ingredient for me is this. So that's it. It's fresh garlic. I love it. And I love my artichokes raw. The bread is a sourdough bread. And of course, we don't buy wheat. We buy wheat and we take it to the mill and we turn it into flour. And this is our own flour from a variety of wheat that is local. And olive oil from here, from the vineyard. It's called Nai. If you want to have it at the boutique, you have it. Beside that, this is a flour. Look, chou-fleur. I liked it. So instead of eating it, so this is it in a edible version, and this is in a ornamental version. Bazella.
Hi, bazella.
وهذا فول.
I have food.
And this is jibne that one of our caretaker prepares at home. And you have two sorts of artichokes. This is the traditional Bekaa one, and this is the French southern France part. This is softer, and this is better cooked. This is better raw. And you have the Arak. This is the Magnum. And of course, we have the Rosé 2022.
Okay, when you think about Arak, let's focus on Arak for a second. When you started making it, what did you fundamentally misunderstand about the process that now, if you were to give yourself advice, a couple of decades later, you would say, "Oh, Ramzi,
Don't do it this way."
Yeah, don't do it this way."
It's a tricky question, but I have to be honest with you, Mike. Unfortunately, most of the learning curve we had came from a guy who was initially from the Shuk. He was a refugee here, and he taught us all the techniques. And of course, we had to learn two things. But there is one major lesson that I learned.
Okay.
Don't give up on traditional Arak-Making and use an industrial one.
Okay.
This is very important because you see this. I introduced you to Voila.
Mm-hmm.
This job is so difficult that after 5-6 years, you will tell me, you know what, I want to move on. I cannot produce you 60,000 liters of Arak every year. I won't lie. I cannot. He has to be passionate. Every 5, 6, 7 years, you have to teach someone to do it. I cannot do it all the time. It is a work. It's a job that requires passion, follow-up, really being completely dedicating all your fall and winter.
Yeah.
And this is tricky.
When you're talking
about
the
Muallim, teaching the Muallim is the base, the foundation of what you're making here.
Yeah.
Because you can give him the best equipment, the best ingredients, if he cannot turn them into something good.
When you say industrial, I mean, I'm not an industrial engineer, and I'm definitely not in this world. But when you say industrial, what does that even look like? What elements of the workflow change really dramatically?
So instead of having a step-by-step process,
like a manual process.
Not just that, because you saw the last part.
Yeah.
But the real steps are the following.
Okay.
Step 1, you ferment grapes into wine. So this is not that difficult. Okay, turning grapes into, it looks like, whoa, no, believe me. This is very simple. In this country, it's very simple.
Okay.
You take Abaidi, you take Merwe, you crush them, you wait a little bit, it works. You
Okay.
cannot go wrong with that. First step is taking this wine, you put it in the still, and you turn it into you concentrate it.
Okay.
So you go from an alcohol of 12 degrees to something like 40 degrees. So, because what will evaporate first? Of course, it's the alcohol. Water will remain down, and the alcohol will go up at the beginning because alcohol is lighter than water.
Yeah.
This is how you separate alcohol from water. So you end up with with an output at 40% that we call brouillis. It's something I don't recommend you drink, but it's alcohol. You take this brouillis, you put it a second time in the still, and then you heat it, and you obtain a eau de vie. Eau de vie is good quality alcohol, spirit. It's like a cognac before the age of cognac.
Yeah.
It's a good quality. You can drink, you can add up. Then you take, so this is step number 2, but there is a mtallat. There are 3 steps in a real traditional Arab. The third step is you put it back and you do exactly what we did. Put the aniseed with it.
Yeah.
You heat it, and this is where we have.
Okay.
Then you have the aging process. So it's a step-by-step long process that will take you almost all winter to produce few liters. Let me put it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
A bottle of Arak requires 5 kilograms of grapes, 180 grams of aniseed, 13 hours of labor, and 11 months of aging.
And an afternoon to
Cheers.
drink. Okay.
And they used to drink the wine in winter, because September, when do you have the grapes in Lebanon? In September. You have the grapes. You eat the grapes. The leftover was fermented into wine. Don't think they had rosy white. No, it was one batch of wine. In winter.
Wait, hold on. You said don't think there's rosé white. It's just like traditional
I'm
red
talking
wine.
about traditional.
It's just red
For
wine.
the Phoenicians and it was a rosé style wine.
Interesting.
It wasn't macerated and things like that. So
Okay.
they used to just pick the grapes. Marwihi and Abaidi are excellent to eat. You eat them. They don't age well. You cannot put them in a fridge.
Yeah.
So they were very old fashioned. You ferment them, you have wine.
Yeah.
In winter, when you're cooking like lentils or dry vegetables or awarma or even potatoes, something like that, you drink with it wine. It warms up your body. It's good for the heart. It's good for everything. So in winter, you have the drink. You don't drink Ara in winter. Then at the end of the winter, like February, when they start pruning the vine, they have the vine shoots. They take the vine shoot and they start distilling like I showed you today in a pot still.
Yeah.
And they prepare the drink for summer, for July and August. Because Ara is the perfect match when you have ingredients like lemon, parsley, mint, that are difficult to pair with wine, even artichoke. You have wine with artichoke. It doesn't work. It's a killer.
Yeah.
While Ara is the passepartout, is the jeans drink for summer.
Yeah.
So when you have the meza, you have Ara. In winter, when you have yakhni, rice or lentils or wheat cooked, wine is excellent. So they have two drinks.
Yeah.
And by doing so, our ancestors didn't worry about wine aging. They didn't worry about barrels aging, turning into vinegar, volatile acidity. No. They drank their wines in winter, distill it into Arak for June, July, August. That's it.
Oh, okay.
So wine, Arak, and grapes were interwoven, and they had a cycle.
Yeah.
And that followed the cycle of every human being in Mount Lebanon and the Bekaa and so on.
Yeah.
So life cycle was coordinated with the grapes. And think about it. The vine.
Yeah.
What does it give you, the vine? The vine leaves. Wara anab. Who doesn't like wara anab?
The people making it. Besides, that's the only people who don't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, when they want to do the dressing for their salad, in the Bekaa in Mount Lebanon, they didn't have lemon, because a lemon tree doesn't live in a cold area when you have frost. Have you ever seen a lemon tree in the Bekaa or Mount Lebanon? It doesn't exist, only in the coast. So the only way for them to put the acidity in their dressings is the grape, the verjus. What is the verjus?
Yeah.
You pick the grapes when they are not mature and you turn them into verjus. Verjus is the acidity that you add for your dressings. You have a second ingredient from the same vine, verjus. Then you have the grapes. Then you have the wine. Then you have the arak. And you have the zbib. And you have the most important ingredient was the molasses of grapes. Because remember, granulated sugar that we use now to sweeten our food didn't exist. You had two options, carob molasses or grape molasses.
Yeah.
Carob molasses has a personality, while grape molasses is much more smoother and more neutral and has a very refreshing taste. So most of the sweetening of the desserts was based on grape molasses. So, and then you have the vine juice to heat Arak cell. So you have 7 ingredients from the same tree.
Yeah.
Do you have comparison, any tree that can look like a vine?
No, it's definitely up there for sure.
And you use it every cycle of the life, use it.
Yeah.
You take something from it.
Yeah.
Now it's season for vine leaves. Now people are picking vine leaves. Come to us, we want vine leaves.
Do you sell your vine leaves or no? What do you do with all of them?
I just have to put a caretaker to take care, because the vine leaf is, I mean, when you do it in a gingerly, it means with control, that's fine. But commercially, the vine leaf is the moon of the vine. This is where it has all the ingredients for winter, for winter. So that's why it develops its leaves during summer, so that in winter it have enough nutriments to collect and take to the roots. So I don't remove it.
So,
With parsimony.
Yeah. So I'm curious about the global interest in Arak. Because I mean, like, I feel like Lebanese wines are the marketing engine of promoting Lebanese wine is strong, right? There is this global narrative around that, right? Is there also a global narrative around Arak? And no, this is an interesting drink everyone should drink, from San Francisco to Santiago, from Tokyo to Berlin? Or is it like, it's really like, unless you're having Cabernet, you shouldn't be drinking Arak? Is there a global interest in it?
More than a global.
Really?
Mikey, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, it was sushi period.
Yeah.
And now everyone is familiar with sake.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. 100%.
Now it is Mediterranean cuisine that is on fashion, and everyone is getting familiar with. Can you go to a grocery, deli, or supermarket in the US and not find hummus in the fridge?
Yeah.
No, everywhere. It's global. It's beyond you, it's beyond me, it's global now.
Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, it doesn't mean it comes from Lebanon.
I mean, it almost certainly doesn't mean it comes from Lebanon. It's usually an Israeli company. Yeah.
And they are taking the Mediterranean cuisine global. Unfortunately, in the US, you have Arak Zahlewi. Zahlewi, it means from Zahle, which is the main town here behind us, that is not produced in Lebanon. It's called Arak Zahlewi.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's like hummus sabra.
Yeah.
I mean, hummus sabra. Is it from sabra?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening for Arak.
Okay.
Why? I tell you why. Because we are not defending our heritage, our culture. And we are going commercial, as I'm talking globally as an industry. And what our ancestors capitalized on and created, and the added value that we have, we are selling it and not trying to protect it.
Is there a global sort of Arak, like, confederacy or something like that?
Listen, I will tell you this in a very blunt way, but I will say it because really I had a glass of Arak that helps.
Yeah.
We are the only one to produce Arak internationally in Lebanon. That's why the pottery guy closed and no one took over. They didn't find an apprenticeship to take over the whole thing. And if you go to Tripoli, we are the only one who are ordering the traditional silk. They all moved on to...
But even like, I mean, across the Mediterranean, there aren't people who are also interested in...
On the contrary.
Really?
They go commercial. Our ancestors knew how to make something with flavor, with an array of complexity and aromas that you cannot find in pastis and rye or in Ouzo or anything else, and even what they're producing in the US.
Yeah.
They are not capable of having this refinement. Everyone will tell you. Two of the four areas that are five areas were required by law to use a pot still.
Okay.
Cognac, Armagnac, Irish whiskey, Scottish whiskey, and Arak from Lebanon. These by law, they have to follow.
Whose law?
There is a law in Lebanon in 1920,
Oh, really?
since 1920, about Arak,
So in it,
determining how you can produce Arak.
and if you don't produce it that way, it's called something else.
In theory.
In
In
theory.
reality, everything is called Arak.
Yeah.
And everyone will tell you it is triple distilled. In reality, it is a aniseed flavor spirit, while this is Arak.
So hold on, 1920. Who passed this law? The French passed this law?
Course, and the Kurd. And it was during this period. And as I told you, Arak Zahrawi is used to be in the law of Iraq. And no, it has a specific status. Arak Zahlawi, you can bring it to Iraq, import it or export it to Iraq with favorable custom duties. Zahli was renowned for the quality of its Arak.
Mm.
Now this Arak is produced in California, it's produced in Spain, it's produced in India. Listen, until now, we are importing empty bottles and filling them in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Mark my words. If we carry on like this, we're going to import Arak bottles and put a label on.
Yeah.
You think that I am exaggerating, but I have to ask you a question. Do you think that any of the owners of the silk factories in Lebanon during the 19th century imagine that the whole industry will be reduced to a museum and there is no more any silk production in Lebanon?
Yeah.
The whole
Well, from the very beginning, the silk industry here, they weren't producing final products. They were just like the back office.
of course,
Yeah.
they were the back office
Yeah.
and they didn't have anything specific.
They had
about
no
them.
brand.
They had no brand and they didn't have any specific pattern or any specific aspect that kept them stand out.
Yeah.
And so they were, in a way, with globalization,
Yeah.
they were completely disseminated.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening to Arab. If we don't defend our traditional Arak-making technique,
Yeah.
if we think that we are smarter than the big spirit companies in the world,
Joke's on us.
it's not going to go very far.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't keep our comparative advantage, our uniqueness, our something that keeps us distinct from the rest of the world,
Yeah.
we will never be able to compete against them.
Yeah. Listen, I have a question for you. So, you've mentioned the Phoenicians many times, right?
A lot.
When I think about the Phoenicians, I think about coastal cities. I don't think about Zahlin, right? I don't think really about and that might have more to do with my ignorance than anything else. But were these drinks also associated with places like Chabab and so on and so forth on the coast, or were they primarily made here
Listen,
in the Bekaa?
listen. We have a misconception about the Phoenicians.
Many.
And this is an author, her name, she teaches in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay?
Can I take a look? Yeah.
Sure. And if you read this book, you understand that we are victim of a story and that the Phoenicians introduced the wine-making technique to Spain and to Portugal. I was in the Douro area, not last summer or no, the one before, I opened a brochure and it was the Phoenician introduced vines to the Douro region, which is a famous wine region.
Yeah.
And that's why I was interested digging in and trying to learn more about our ancestors.
Yeah.
When they tell you that the Phoenicians were just traders and seafaring people,
Yeah.
they're lying to you. Believe me. She has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
She doesn't pay me royalty, but read her book.
Okay, cool.
And you will see that first they were craftsmen. And if they expanded the territory, it was because they were searching for minerals, iron, tin, copper, for the industry. And they were excellent architects. They were not just trading cedars and trees. They were famous in designing temples.
Yeah.
And they were master farmers. They never settled beside areas where they had arable land in the hinterland. So it was just behind them. They developed the vines and they played a role that was much more crucial than the Greeks. But tell me something. This country, this nation, supposedly,
Yeah.
is a very recent nation. They never defended our history. And who is going to defend? The Europeans? The Europeans who tried to colonize you or stay here and influence you, they are the ones who are doing the diggings in Baalbek, in Camdelos. Go see what's happening in Camdelos. They are German. They were not going to tell you, you know what? You were the civilization. You taught us how to make wine. You taught us how to grow and tend the olive tree. They are not going to tell you this. They will tell you the Greeks. In reality, it was the Phoenicians. And this is the book.
Yeah.
She's a teacher at Chicago University.
Yeah.
And read it. And you will understand that we were not just traders.
Yeah.
We didn't do everything. We
For
didn't
sure.
invent everything. But there is a misconception and a misinterpretation of markers, historical markers, and historical fact.
So like the Phoenicians, for example.
So the sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
Mikey, but the coppersmith is part of this tradition.
Yeah.
The pottery guy is part of this tradition.
Gotcha.
And this is what we're losing. Of course, the distillery also. So I am sad. I am really frustrated because I thought that gradually we will have more people joining us in this movement to revive the Lebanese tradition. I see that I am inviting whoever wants to learn about Arak, I will teach him if he is committed to pot distillation and training بعلمs.
Yeah.
Really, this is basic. This is important, and I am frustrated because it is disappearing. We are the last of the Mohicans trying to defend this whole industry.
So I wanted to ask you, and you know more about this than I do, but when I was reading about the Phoenicians, right, they have a huge part, they had a huge civilization, I think larger civilization in Libya than they did here.
Of course,
Yeah.
in Carthage and in Spain
Exactly.
and in Malta and in Sicily.
So are there different variations of Arak in those places because of the ingredients?
Listen, this is too much ask. I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
But however, I can tell you the coppersmiths, they were masters in pottery.
Okay.
And they had what they called a red lip pottery that was specific of the Phoenicians.
Yeah.
But they were global. They did the same thing here and in Carthage. This is you know what? In reality,
Yeah.
there are a people without a nation until now, and
Without a state.
without a state till now. And someone said it in the book. You will read it. The Phoenicians are a people without a nation and without a
Badna.
and we still are.
Yeah.
But we had something that brings us together. It's food, Dolce Vita, Mount Lebanon, the Bekaa, and also the coast. I mean, the seafood. We were raised with this way of living and with the rhythm to follow the life rhythm. So that is the Phoenicians, of course. It's not just the Levant from south to north. It's everything, and including settlements we had. But we never went imperial in our department.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
The Phoenicians came with a kind of catalog of good things. Oh, you want to make wine? I can teach you. But give me a small pot here, and I can teach you how to plant vines and do wine.
Yeah.
You want to have olive tree? I will teach you. So they were kind of sharing their knowledge with the others and trying to control without being aggressive and with a collaboration. And they were influenced always by also the residents or the dwellers of the area to learn from them and exchange with them.
Yeah.
They were excellent they founded something huge without fighting many wars. The only war they did fight was with the Romans, the Punic Wars, and they lost it, and that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
But they developed their settlement in a very peaceful way, based on knowledge and exchange.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I want to take a break because I want to go check on this. It should be done by now, I think.
I think so.
I think so. So we're going to take a break.
Doing his job, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We're going to go see it, and then we're going to come back.
We have to taste it. There's enough to taste it. It's too aromatic, too strong. So
Very
this
strong.
we eliminate it, we don't put it in it. Wala has to taste it to make sure when it is good to keep it. So this is what the Arak-Making role is. This is not good for consumption.
Yeah.
This has to go for a aging area in the torpedo shape jars that the Phoenicians were famous for, and we're going to keep it for almost, as I told you, 11 months before bottling it. And we don't need more aging than that. So this is a very gentle and low speed process, and it requires 3 steps. Step number 1, you put the wine, you have brouillé. Step number 2, you put the brouillé, you have eau de vie. Step number 3, you put the eau de vie with the anise, and then you have the arak. This is where we are right now.
Yeah.
We do it, of course, on a larger scale, but instead of using 1 still, we have 4 stills, and instead of being a small one, it's a larger one. So this is a traditional, this is our heritage, this is our culture, this is what we're trying to preserve and to be very proud of.